Warning. If the topic of psychological manipulation and emotional enslavement of women offends you, I want you to stop watching this video. And if you want to continue, you must agree never to use this knowledge to hurt women. Deal? Great. Let's start. Okay, first things first. So you feel that your wife doesn't love you anymore. But you know what? You can, however, make your wife love you again if you do what I ask you to do in this video. And I can guarantee you that it's nothing like you've ever seen before anywhere else. Sound good? Here's the first and most important question you'll need to answer. Between you and your wife, who dreads the failure of your marriage more? If it's you, then that's bad news. You see, here's the unwritten rule about love and marriage that almost nobody talks about, but it's true. Whoever can walk away from a marriage holds the power in that marriage. And so, if you're the only one who seems to be holding on, then she has got the power over you. It's true. And guess what? Unless you make some drastic changes, and fast, your marriage will fail. But it just doesn't have to be that way. And you'll learn what the changes you'll need to make in this video. However, before we go into that, there's something I want you to do for me. Could you help me out by clicking like? That will really mean a lot to me. Go on and click like now because I'll wait here. Clicked like? Great. Let's continue. So here's what you need to know. We men were designed by Mother Nature to be leaders, strong, dominant, and decisive. Women, on the other hand, were designed to be supporters and followers. And guess what? Followers should dread the loss of their leader more than the other way around. By the way, dread is not something negative. In fact, it's essential for dread to exist in a healthy marriage, and I'll show you why. Let me explain with an example. Try to think back to a time when you and your wife were with an unhappy female friend who complained to you about her breakup or divorce. After bitching, that female friend looked at you and your wife and said, "You guys are so lucky." Ever had an experience like that? Yes? Did you notice how sweet and loving your wife was immediately after that episode? Well, that's dread. She simply realized how much she needed you and appreciated you in her life. And it made an instant change in her behavior. Get the picture? Dread is a good thing. In fact, it's the lack of dread that's bad. If she does not dread losing you, she'll start showing signs she doesn't love you anymore and start taking you for granted. If your wife doesn't love you anymore, guess what? It's probably because you've been doing things that make her wish she could leave. And if you've been weak around her, following her preferences, going out of your way for her, spoiling her, etc., then it's no wonder she'd want to cheat on you. If you're weak, she can't respect you. And if she doesn't respect you, she can't love you. So how do you fix the problem? Simple. Instill dread into her life. How can you do that? Well, let's go through a real-life example. My friend Philip was having problems with his wife Eileen. And so I told him to list down all the possible reasons why Eileen no longer dreaded losing him. In Philip's case, he wrote down the following possible reasons. 1. Eileen recently got a job after being a stay-at-home mom for nearly 2 decades. She now had her own income and no longer depended on Philip's money. 2. She also made many new friends, so she didn't need Philip for emotional validation anymore. 3. He had been spoiling her all his life, even after she became independent. It all boiled down to one conclusion. If Eileen divorced Philip that same day, her life would actually get better. When Philip realized this, he was shocked. To keep his wife, Philip had to change that reality pretty quickly. So what did Philip do to dread Eileen? Before we go into that, however, I want you to do this for me. If you have enjoyed this video this far, then subscribe to my channel because that will guarantee that you'll get these videos from me in the future. Go on and click on the subscribe button because I'll wait here. Done subscribing? Great. Let's continue. Philip knew the long-term things he needed to do. 1. Increase his income to increase Eileen's financial dread. 2. Increase the fun factor of their sex life, emotional validation she couldn't get from her friends. Those would take some time for the dread effect to kick in, and so he also needed some short-term tactics. And he also decided to decrease how much he was spoiling Eileen. I told him he had to make drastic changes, changes that would shock her into paying attention to him again. Here were 3 of the many things I told Philip to start doing. 1. Casually mention that one of his college exes, the one who was great at giving head, got in touch again. Then mention it a few days later as if he forgot he already did. 2. Accidentally turn off his cell phone for 24 hours, twice a week. This would make Eileen wonder if he was cheating on her. 3. Whenever Eileen tried to make him jealous, such as by talking about how a male coworker hit on her, he wouldn't flinch. He'd joke about it and give her pickup tips. These and a number of other adjustments did the trick. Feelings of dread started to creep into Eileen's wife. And before too long, she was sweeter, more attentive, and more respectful toward Philip. That was a good thing, but it wasn't enough. These were band-aid solutions. Eventually, Eileen might get used to his dread tactics, and her bad behavior would return. And so I taught him a second technique. It was a mind control technique called fractionation. Fractionation is a technique that puts a woman on intense, sustained emotional roller coasters. The goal is simple, to get her to fractionate. Think of fractionation as being like nuclear-grade dread. It shocks a woman into the possibility of losing you, and the dread hits her like a sledgehammer. Then, to complete the emotional roller coaster, you alternate the dread with loving reassurance. That's how fractionation works. And guess what? It worked. Today, Philip and Eileen are still together and happier than they've ever been. And best of all, Eileen never lets Philip forget how much she loves him. Okay, so look here. Philip saved his marriage and made his wife love him again, using short-term and long-term dread tactics. Want the same results for yourself? You too can make your wife love you again, no matter how bad the relationship might seem, just like Philip. But here's the thing. You must learn mind control. That's the key. Good news. You can master mind control today. How? Here's the thing though. I can't explain mind control in detail in this video. It's already pretty long as it is. And that's why I'd recommend Derek Rake's legendary online masterclass on mind control. After you sign up for Derek's masterclass, you'll know what fractionation and mind control is, how the technique works, and how to use it on women. A link will now come up in the video. Click it and the registration page for Derek Rake's online masterclass comes up. There, enter your best email address because that's where your masterclass ticket will be sent. Do it. Click on the link now.